Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well this evening. And thank you so much for tuning in to Horizon's October community event called Horizon Mobile 3, The Next Generation. Got a lot of cool stuff for you this evening, and I'm glad so many people have been able to attend. We have over 250 people right now in attendance, and looking at the list, there's so many people that I'm familiar with and a bunch I've never seen before. So regardless if you're new or old to the Horizon community, we welcome you all. Really excited to have everyone here this evening. Now, a little bit of housekeeping in order before we get ourselves started. My name is Brian. I'm the onboarding and training specialist at Horizon. And simply put, I'm here to help in the background this evening. I'm going to do some demonstration a little later on. Alan's going to lead. But if you need me, feel free to reach out by phone, email. We're always here to provide support and assistance. Of course, I have none other than Mr. Alan Carson here this evening with me to talk about Horizon Mobile 3. How you doing, Alan?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Brian. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. I'm really enthused to be here with you tonight, and looking at the growing numbers, so many people are excited as well. It's really cool. All right, now I think everyone's familiar with how the control panel works, but formalities. So on the right side of the screen, my friends, you're going to have a control panel, 3 key functions. You can expand or minimize it using that orange button at the top of it. You can select your preferred audio method. You're probably already listening through your computer speakers. If you have any issues with your audio tonight, please let me know in the chat. I can't troubleshoot right then and there, but I'll definitely try to follow up after the session. However, select phone call. You get a toll-free number, dial in, and listen to your phone. Questions? So many of you already asked them. Please continue to do so. We'll make sure to answer as many questions during the Q&A as we can. All right, without further ado, actually, that's your slide, Alan. Let me pass it over to you, my good friend. There you go, sir.
Good stuff. Thank you, Brian. Let me see if this technology all works. Okay. Can you see my screen yet?
You're good to go. I can see your screen just fine.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's see, we'll do that. Well, thank you everyone for being here. And it is a blustery October night where I am, but happy to be doing what we're doing. This one is going to be.
There we go. You're back.
There we go. Yeah. I don't think I did anything. I don't know why the computer got mad at me, but hey, sometimes that happens. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. If we can keep going, we'll give it a shot. So tonight is pretty special. We get to do a beta launch of Horizon Mobile 3. We have been baking this cake for a long time. Support docs and videos are coming very soon. We've mostly done, but again, beta launch, so we are working hard to get everything ready for you. Now, if you want to download it, it is available. Go to the Google Play or App Store, and Horizon Mobile 3, strangely enough, is the name, and you can get it. Now, for those of you using Horizon Mobile, before you panic, are you going to lose the old Horizon Mobile? The answer is no, not yet. You're good for a bit. However, this is a beta launch. We're going to work through it. We're going to get it absolutely right. And then we will stop supporting the old Horizon Mobile. So I encourage you, even if you are an old dog who doesn't like new tricks, I think you're going to love this one anyway. It's new and different, but not different enough to be disruptive for those who've been using Horizon Mobile. So I think it's going to be a very good solution for you. So don't panic about any of that. We will make it easy. Okay. So agenda. Every meeting should have an agenda. So this one's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell. Brian's going to take you for a test drive where you'll have to buckle your seat belts. And then we'll do a Q&A. And that is the whole show. So let's start with a poll. And Brian, can I ask you to throw up a little poll about finding out a little bit about our audience, who's using Horizon and who uses Horizon Mobile?
Sure. Let me get that launched for you right now. All right, everyone. So you're going to see a brief poll up on screen. And you got 2 choices. It's multiple choice. You can select both if both are applicable. We'd love to get a sense if you're a user or not. And then, of course, if you happen to use Horizon Mobile presently. For anyone that is not a Horizon user, we're just going to default that out from the list. Although we hope everyone becomes a Horizon user.
That's right, just not yet is what the right question is. So I hate these polls because I can't see what's going on. And I don't know why Brian does this to me, but I have to trust that you guys are looking at the poll doing. I can't see the questions and I can't see the results. So Brian's totally in control, which is the part he really likes here.
Very true. And you know what? We've had 80% vote, so I think we're good in just a shy second here. And we do have a number of questions which I have stored for the Q&A, so I assure you we'll get to the answer of all of your questions, my friends. Okay, everyone has voted, or at the most mass majority, so let's go ahead and end the poll there. So thank you so much for your participation, everyone. We had 85% of the audience vote, and we have over, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So with regard to sharing, let me just share the poll there. We have 96% that mentioned they are a Horizon user, and 64% mentioned they use Horizon Mobile regularly, which is actually pretty cool. That's an interesting stat.
That is awesome. Okay, good stuff. Well, that gives us some good fuel for the fire. All right. Oh, come on, computer time. Okay, there we go. All right. So I wanted to start by saying this has been a group effort getting this together. We've had input from a lot of people, and no small amount from the co-host tonight, Brian. He has been active on the input side of this Horizon Mobile 3. And so our goal was to make it faster, simpler, and yet be more powerful and give you more tools. So we wanted to do fewer taps, provide more shortcuts, and make it more intuitive. So we wanted to eliminate some of the things that you had to remember how to do, and we're trying to make it way more user-friendly, quick to learn, and quick to use. Okay. We also wanted to give you some more choices. So dark mode and light mode are now a choice. Photo editing can be turned on or off, and you've got a couple of different search options. So we'll look at those as we go through, but it's a little more flexible. Now, the awkward discussion is always the price. How much is Horizon Mobile 3? Well, as with everything Horizon, updates are free, support is free, there is just no additional charge. So the price is right, even if the product's not great, which actually it is. So I'm going to stop and just do one tiny sidebar on what I think is best practice for using Horizon. And I bring this up because I see so many people, I go in and they ask me to look at their account or look at a report, and I see they don't have Horizon set up to optimize their workday. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is understand that Horizon's got a massive database that we give you. And it's trying to be all things to all people, but you're not all people. You don't need the whole database. So what I would love for you to do, and if you haven't done it recently, it may be time to redo it. If you haven't done it at all, it's definitely time to do. I want you to look at show hide, I want you to look at customize, and I want you to look at presets. Those three things are going to be your best friends. And if you're like me, you believe time is precious. And using these tools, you can invest a little bit of time up front and save a ton of time forever moving forward. So if you haven't done it, pay attention to those, make them work for you, do it once and use it forever. Okay. I'm also going to tell you that I have a philosophy, and Brian always laughs at me because I have lots of thoughts and lots of opinions. I'm a home inspector after all. So I think the best way to use Horizon Mobile is pretty simple. It's a 1, 2, 3 kind of process. Step 1, take your title page photo. Step 2, record your defects and photos, and we've got a magical new way to accomplish that. Don't put in your required items, don't do your descriptions and limitations. Walk through the house, inspect the house, capture the defects, full stop. Step 3, at the end, after you've inspected everything, then pull out speed right and do what I call the necessary evil. Meet the standards, put in your descriptions and limitations. You're not going to trust me that you can do it without taking notes along the way or stopping and do it part way through. At least a lot of you don't. Trust me that you either can do it now or will be able to do it after very short amount of practice. It saves a ton of time. It leverages the tool. It makes sure that you're working the fastest, most effective way. And it also ensures you're going to have a complete professional report. So simple step-by-step stuff that is my mad science way to approach it. Okay, so let's get to Horizon Mobile 3. As I said, I'll give you a look from a PowerPoint perspective, and then Brian will give you the real test drive. So, well, let's have a look here. So the home screen is the home screen. We've always had a home screen, and this looks a little bit different. We've got a hamburger menu up in the top left corner, and the other new thing we've got is a little map pin, which we'll get to look at in just a minute. So let's have a look at that hamburger menu, what we call the main menu. It's crystal clear now. You've got full sync at the top. You've got log out at the bottom. We've leveraged some icons. And in the middle, you've got 4 settings. So you can search all systems, which is my preferred way to do it. You can also set up search so that it only searches the system you're in. So if you're in roofing or structure, it will only search that section. You can use voice search and have it come on automatically. You can use photo edit prompts or not. Turn those on or off at your convenience. And you might turn them off while you're working in the house and turn them on when you're out in your truck writing the report. Dark mode and light mode we talked about already. So we'll get a closer look at those. And actually, if you're looking at the screen, you can see light mode home screen on the left and dark mode home screen on the right. Our dark mode is not black, it's a dark blue. I find it very easy on the eyes, but everybody's different. Play with it and see what works for you. Okay, now when you click on that little map pin, you get 2 things exposed for you that are new and very convenient. One is you've got a button to show the map, and we'll look at that in just a second. But the second thing that we've added is your client and agent phone numbers are there. So you can tap the button and make a phone call directly. And where that comes in handy is if you're at the house and the appointment's for 9 o'clock and it's 9:10 and nobody's there, what the heck's going on? You can reach out and contact people because we're on a mobile device. It is super quick, super easy. So that part is very helpful. The map is the map. You can click on that and get directions. You can share the map. You can save it and do all the other things. If you're on an Apple device, you're going to get the iOS Apple Maps. And if you're on an Android, you're going to get Google Apps, of course. All right, let's move on really quickly. And I'm going to blast through this because it's really going to be more telling to have Brian do the show and tell, the demo. So this is what I call Command Central. This is our system screen, and we've made some significant changes that, again, will be more dynamic when Brian shows them to you. But we have made it so you can pick a system and the appropriate description, recommendations, or limitations section in a single click. The other thing we've done is added a new nav bar at the bottom that can take you back to the system screen. Now we're on it now, so we don't need to click it. That's kind of Command Central. We can go to search. We can go to spare photos, which is a cool new tool we'll look at. And you can go to speed write from anywhere, anytime, very quickly. So that bottom nav bar saves a ton of clicks. Okay, if we go into structure description, the list looks similar to what it looked like before. Everything's a little cleaner, a lot of white space, trying to make things easy to read, easy to see. And then we're also keen on letting you know what you've done. So here you can see under configuration, we show we've got 1 item selected and we've taken 1 photo. So we're at the heading level, but we can see what we've done. And if you get interrupted during an inspection and you're making notes, you talk to the client and then you come back and you say, where the heck was I? Did I do this or not? Well, here is a really good reference tool to help you keep track of that. Now, when you go into the heading, and so we're in the structure description section, we're under configuration, and you can see we've clicked basement and taken 1 photo. You see that little photo icon there has the numeral 1 in it, and that tells me that we've got a photo done. We'll have a closer look at how you do this stuff in just a few seconds. So this is going to look very different because we've got the 3 gray icons beside each item. And we will come back to that in a moment. So we've made our basement entry here. We're going to go back to house systems now. And there we are, back to house systems. Now, we've got a structure recommendation we want to make. So we'll tap that, and we're going to go into the floor section, and we're going to go to floor joists. So here we are. And again, you can see that we've made some entries and taken some photos already. Okay, now we're in floor joists. And now what we've got is a split floor joist that we want to capture. Now, remember, this database is flexible. You guys can hide what you don't want. You guys can rearrange these. You guys can add new items. Whatever you want to do, however you want these arranged and displayed is at your discretion. So we've got split. You'll also see down below we've got split or damaged in case we've got a couple of things going on. But you can set up your database however you like. It's your choice. So now what happens is a magical new thing. When I look at this, I used to be able to make an entry called split and then go and do some stuff. What we've done is cut the number of clicks in half, and you have three choices. The first item here is we've got a camera icon. If I click that camera icon, two things happen, not one. It adds the split defect or condition to my report, and it takes me to my camera to take a photo of it, all in one click. I also have the choice of clicking on the picture icon, the second one, and that adds the item to the report, and then it also takes me to my photo gallery on my device. If I've already taken a photo of it, I just grab it from there. Thirdly, I can also take that little notepad and click that icon, adds the item to the report, and takes me straight to the note screen where I can add my notes, location, task, time, and decide if it goes to the summary or not. So we have made this dramatically different. So the world is a little more convenient and a whole lot faster. There again, we've got the crack joist. Now we go, this is what you get to. As soon as you click that icon, you go straight to your camera on your device, you set it up, you take the photo, and you get asked if you want to edit it. Now remember, you can turn that editing request on or off. So if you don't want to be asked every time if you want to edit the photo, you just turn that off, back on the hamburger main menu. But if we're going to leave it on and we're going to go in and edit this photo, we have got a magical photo editing tool. You can add text, you can draw freehand, you can add rectangles, circles, and arrows. You can do crazy stuff like crop and rotate and flip to mirror image. You can play to your heart's content with color and brightness and saturation and hue. I don't even understand all what those things do. The good news to me is the one that's most useful is dead center on the screen right at the bottom. It's the circle and square one. When I click on that, I can add a rectangle or a circle or an arrow, and it is so easy to use. So my arrows can point anywhere, be as long or short as you want. They can be any color and they can be any weight, and you just do it, save them, and you're good to go. So that is, it's so easy and so good. And with apologies, it is so overdue, but it was worth the wait, I hope. Okay, so once you finish adding your photo, edit or not, you come back to the note screen. And this logical, lovely note screen is also significantly different than what we had before. So it is far more time. Oh my goodness, my apologies. I must have poured something on my computer. I'm not quite sure what. Anyway, this note screen is so cool because it is way more flexible than it used to be, and it is way more readable. So it's faster and it's easier. So if I want to make a location entry, here's a perfect example. I click on the location item on the left, and on the right, I get this display on my screen that gives me direction, floor level, and room. And for those of you who are familiar with Verizon, this will look familiar, except it's just way easier to use now. So you can click in about 5 seconds, rear, second floor, bedroom, and make your entry and you're done. So that is super easy, super cool. And similarly with task and time, they work kind of the same way. On the left side, you can see the task screen, and whatever you've chosen appears up at the top. We've selected repair or replace here, and over on the right is the time, and we've selected less than 1 year. And so you can make those entries, and they show up on the left side over there. And if you want to edit them, of course, you can type over that, add in new stuff, whatever you like. So that is all way more convenient. You can go back and revisit. You can just have the freedom that you've never had before on this screen. Okay, I'm going to leave out a couple of steps because I don't want to steal all of Brian's thunder. I did want to mention, though, that delete is a new thing. Once you've made an entry, you can see that red trash can. That's pretty easy to understand. But we had to make it Allen-proof or foolproof. And so what we did was we put a pop-up. So if I accidentally tap that garbage can, it's going to ask me if I really want to delete the item or not. So that gives me a little bit of protection that God knows I need. Okay, we talked about this and just a quick example. So if you want to make the condition a split joist and you want to take a photo off your photo gallery in your camera, you just hit the second icon. There's your selection of images. You grab what you want and away you go. And again, you can edit it or not. In this case, we've used a blue rectangle instead of a red arrow. Okay. You can see the notes have been added up in the top left corner there. You can type or talk your notes, absolutely. And when you're done, you just hit the save at the bottom, and then you go back to the section you were in case you want to make another floor joist recommendation. But if not, you don't have to drill all the way back out. You just hit the systems button and you go back to the control center. Okay, let me touch on search because, as Brian will tell you, Alan loves search. I'm going to tell you search is, in my mind, a little bit of an advanced approach. It takes some faith to use it. It takes a little bit of a learning curve. But once you get onto it, in my opinion, it's quite a bit faster than navigation. But I understand it's not for everybody. The search little magnifying glass is down at the bottom of that new nav bar that we've talked about. And the way search works is if you type in a few letters of each word, and when I usually use it for recommendations. So if I want to find something, I want to put in the component and the problem. So the gutters were clogged or dirty. So, and clogged works too, dirty works. We built in some magic behind the scenes. So if you don't get exactly the right word, it'll often find it for you anyway, because we have multiple words that mean the same thing buried in the Horizon database. So gutters dirty, I just typed DIRGUT and it brought up my defect for dirty gutters. And again, I can do the same thing. I can make my entry and go straight to the camera, photo gallery, or notepad, all in one click. So search is super convenient. I can do all the things that I could before on the note screen, so that all works terrifically. Now, the cool part is when I'm finished adding that defect and making any notes, I hit the save bar and I come back to search. I don't go back to where I was because it's assuming I want to go on to the next thing, which I do. So I can either hit the cancel button or the X there and then make my next entry. So remember I said my preferred process was to walk through the house and only record your defects as you go? This is a super powerful way to do it, especially if you're like me. You don't always see the defects in the order that you think about them. You're up on the roof, you might see a plumbing stack problem or an electrical mast problem. Well, that's not part of the roofing database. It's not part of the roofing section. You got to navigate to a different section. Just use search and you get right there. Also, I'm not smart enough to remember whether gutters are in roofing or exterior, and whether chimneys are part of exterior or heating, and whether exhaust fans are electrical or interior. Doesn't matter with search, you just type in the item and the issue and you're good to go. Or type it or talk it. You can see the little microphone on the left, you can hit the microphone just fine. Okay, that's the way it works. Here's one just missing handrails on the exterior. And I say exterior because you have handrails on the inside of the house too. So exterior, interior. So type hand miss EXT, and there you go. You got a couple of choices. If you type in big, vague terms, you'll get a lot of selections. If you type in just the specifics, you get exactly what you're after. That's why I say it takes a little bit of practice to get good at it, but it's worth the effort. Okay, new feature, spare photos. How much fun is this? This is an instant way to grab those photos that you don't want in the report. You just want to capture them. That might be a limitation that you want to cover your butt on. It might be something that you're not sure about, not sure where it goes in the report, whatever. Spare photos allows you in a heartbeat to click that spare photo button, again on that bottom nav bar, which is ubiquitous, meaning it's everywhere, and then you go straight to your camera, take the photo. It doesn't invite you to edit because it's a spare photo, for goodness sake. You don't want to be adding circles and arrows on photos that aren't going to be in the report. It just shoots it straight up to the web and you're done. It's magic. It's super simple, super fast, super convenient. Okay. Let me give you a little bit of philosophy on photos because I just can't help myself. You've probably heard me say that less is more. And I think less is more about photos as well as report writing in general. I don't want you to make work for yourself by capturing a ton of useless photos. And I see a lot of home inspectors take a lot of photos that I think maybe 1 in 500,000 inspections that might be important down the road, but it just is, you're taking so much time and doing so much work for such a small return. It's not a good investment of your precious time. So what do I say you should have in the report for photos? Well, we need a title page photo. I like 1 or 2 photos for every defect. I like photos of the roof and attic and the crawl space, the places where people don't go. I like photos of the electrical panel and the furnace with the cover off to show that you did it. And there's usually a story to be told inside there. And then any things like a garage that's chock full of storage because people are getting ready to move and you couldn't inspect the garage. I much prefer landscape to portrait. Verizon does a lovely job of putting 2 landscape photos side by side. They fit perfectly. And when I say 2 photos, the reason I like 2 photos per condition or defect is I like a macro photo so people can see what it is. Oh yeah, I recognize that's the furnace in the basement. And then the micro photo to show them what the issue is. That is a strong visual for your client. And it also saves you doing a bunch of photo editing when you zoom in on the problem and it's self-evident. And absolutely turn photo captions on so that the description is underneath the photo each and every time. We surveyed a bunch of Verizon reports recently. On average, we're seeing people are putting in about 160 entries overall, including 31 defects, 12 summary items, and about 84 photos all told. So those are what your community is doing. Is that the right number? Not necessarily, but that's what people are doing. So I thought I'd give you that as a reference point. Okay, let me touch on SpeedWrite really quickly. SpeedWrite has changed as well. The button to access it is down in that bottom nav bar, and it lets you get those required items out of the way. And again, I prefer to do it all at the end of the inspection, one fell swoop, really quick. So you click an item and it auto advances to the next and life is good, away you go. And it tells you a bunch of things. So now you can see what's been added. If you make a mistake, you can delete it now. Remember when you hit that trash can, it's gonna ask you if you're sure you wanna delete it. And then down at the bottom, it tells you how many items are remaining. So you're gonna set up your required items. So however many required items you have, that's what you see in SpeedWrite. An average number is around 50 for a typical home inspector, meeting the standards from national organizations. We do have the auto advance tool, and of course the power we've added is you can turn that off permanently. So for those of you who have to make a lot of entries in each heading, you can go screen by screen using the forward and back arrow. So way easier than it used to be and way more flexible. So the deletion we talked about, the going back we talked about, you can move backwards or forwards through the list and turn on or off auto advance. When you're done, you click the back arrow up in the top right corner and away you go. Now, inside report writing, we also have a menu. We talked about the main one out at the home screen. That was the hamburger menu. We made this one look different. It's on the top right corner, not the left, so you don't get them confused. And it's also 3 dots instead of a hamburger. So this is your reporting menu. And when we click on it, we get what you see on the right. So you can go to the home screen, go to your templates, your title page photos. You can do a push only. You can go to your report preview. You can have a look at your work order, or you can do your invoice payment. So I'm just going to whiz through these, except to stop and say, up in the top left-hand corner there, do you see the photo icon with the number 143? That tells me I've got 143 photos in this report, which is a lot. But now you have that counter for you. And Brian will talk a little bit more about that. So here we go. We're in the menu, as I say, title page photo. And again, when you do the title page photo, you take the photo and it automatically goes up to the web. Life is good. You don't have to fuss with it. What if you change your mind? Just take another one. It replaces the one you already put up. So the last title page photo you take is the one that you're going to get. Super convenient. Okay, templates are templates. It does tell you which ones you've already applied in case you have trouble remembering. Push only you're hardly ever going to use. Brian will explain why. The preview is pretty much the same as it was. Looking at the work order is pretty much the same. And paying the invoice is pretty much the same. And stop trying to look and see if you can get my credit card number. That is not my credit card. Don't worry about it. Okay, Brian, time for me to be quiet and hand things over to you. And I hope your computer screen behaves better than mine tonight. And I don't know what I did to deserve that, but my apologies to everyone.
No, it's no problem at all. Thank you so much for the great introduction and great foray into some of the features and capabilities of Horizon Mobile 3. Got a lot of things that we'll go over here, hopefully fill in some of the blanks for everyone. And then, of course, you'll be able to test drive it yourself this evening. So hopefully to address some of the questions that we've received this evening, the app is available in the App Store presently. I'm currently demonstrating using my iPhone, but if you're an Android user, you can go into Google Play. You're going to be able to find it by searching Horizon Mobile 3. Ideally, add the 3 in. That's going to help identify it from the current version that is also running, and you'll be able to download and install it on your device really. There we go. Should be able to see my screen at this point now. Do you see it, Alan?
Yes, I do.
Great. All right. Perfect. Sorry for the interruption there, folks. So let me take a step back there. As I was talking, didn't transfer over on my screen. So again, just a friendly reminder that you'll be able to download it from the App Store presently. Search Horizon Mobile 3. You'll have access to it immediately. Now, Alan did mention that it is going to run basically in parallel to Horizon Mobile 2. So if you're currently using Horizon Mobile 2, you're welcome to continue using it, and you can still actually use both in unison. So if you're getting accustomed to Horizon Mobile 3 and you're out in the field and you're still more comfortable with the current version, you can continue using it to write a report, but you can interchange the two apps seamlessly on the same device or different devices as well. So that you ideally, once you're comfortable, can delete Horizon Mobile 2 completely off your device and then just use the new one. But for the interim, you can leave both on your device if you'd like. Although all the development efforts are going to be pushed toward Horizon Mobile 3. So ideally, any issues you encounter or things, please let us know. We're going to be working readily to try to resolve them. All right, let's move this over a bit so I get a little more screen real estate. Okay, let me just see if I can make this a bit bigger for everyone. All right, so Alan's done a good explanation of a lot of the key features here. I'll try to demonstrate them a little bit better in real time. So right now I'm at the home screen where, of course, you're going to select the report you want to write. Everyone listening in that's ever written a report, very familiar with this. Alan's touched on some of the really cool key features, but I do want to point out something here which goes back to enhanced stability. Now, this little red icon doesn't mean much to you right now, but basically it tells you that there's data within that report that hasn't been synced to the cloud. However, we've significantly improved our syncing and hosting capabilities. So now, regardless if you're online or offline, the program will automatically store your data and sync it up when you do go back online. So our Autosync feature works every 5 entries or photos you take. So it's constantly syncing your data seamlessly in the background as you write your reports. And again, if you're offline, it's going to store that data and then it's going to properly upload it bit by bit instead of trying to shove it all at once. So some of the concerns that we've had with Horizon Mobile 2 have been completely eliminated. You're going to be able to work regardless of your connectivity, knowing that your data is safe and secure. And that means a lot of the other features have now have offline capability as well, right? So it's made things a lot more convenient across the board. Now, I don't have the ability to demonstrate both Apple and Android this evening, but one of the things that I did want to mention is it's completely the same. Regardless of what platform you open up Horizon Mobile on, if you switch from iOS to Android, whatever the case may be, it's going to look identical, function the same. So there's a very minimal learning curve. And again, there's 400 photos that you can take for any given report. So we've significantly increased the photo capabilities at present. Now, at the home screen, Alan mentioned the More Info option, which you can see conveniently beside each address. And in this particular case, it allows me, actually, my test one, let me go to the 100 Queen Street. You can see here that it gives me the ability to map out as well as get the contact information. Now, as we're always out and about, this gives us the ability to quickly get driving directions. I'm a big fan of it. Hopefully take advantage of it. And of course, you can contact individuals associated with the inspection now using the cell phone number. If they have any other numbers associated with the work order, they'll be shown here. And in my case, I just have a buyer and their client, or buyer and their agent, pardon me. But if you had a seller agent, a secondary client, they would be listed here as well, right? You're able to contact them quite quickly. Again, you have all of the preferential settings here in the menu. Some things that you'll want to consider are, do you want to edit each photo after taking it or not? Do you like light or dark mode, right? Do you like talk to text? If so, make sure voice search is on, right? That's a great benefit that we don't have presently. And depending upon how you prefer to search, narrowing things down by system or not. Now, also, we've tried to simplify the syncing process. So although we do still have a push-only function in the systems menu, more or less, you now just full sync, and the program will take care of itself thereafter. So whenever you got a new report, you press full sync, it updates the app, you're ready to rock and roll, and everything else more or less happens in the background for you.
Ryan, I'm just going to throw in one other thing that on the full sync, it also, at the outset, I suggested that you take the time to use show, hide, and customize and presets and all of those good things. And all of those settings trickle down to Horizon Mobile 3. Every time you do a full sync, your database that you have added items to, rearranged, whatever, that trickles right back down, so you get the full use of it on Horizon Mobile 3 as well. So it works up on the web, but it also works out in the field.
Great point, Alan. Excellent point there, right? So any changes that you do make to your database online, they will sync to the mobile app the next time you do a full sync, right? So again, your main Horizon account is going to be where you update your database, you customize, you create new items, and that again will trickle down to the mobile app every time you do a full sync. Great point there. Now, when we get into the report, again, we've made things a bit more uniform from Apple and Android. We've reduced the steps involved to make a selection, and we've introduced the 4 shortcuts at the bottom of the screen at all times. So these are 4 of the most used features that we found inspectors are using in the mobile app at any given time. So we've tried to simplify how you access and utilize them. So of course, systems, it serves a dual purpose from the screen. When you're here, it takes you back to home so you can select whatever report you want to write. But if you are more on the navigation side, right, perhaps you're within your roofing system, maybe making a recommendation, and then you needed to navigate to a different system, it's very easy to transition back and forth now by simply tapping systems, and then moving to the next system that you'd like to work on. Now, some other key features that we've introduced are the enhanced search function that Alan was talking about. And as you can see here, it's going to ask if I'd like to use voice recognition or not. Sometimes it likes to play with me when I'm doing a demonstration, but clogged gutter. Sorry, didn't tap the button on. Clogged gutter. Clogged gutter. See, it likes to play with me, unfortunately. I apologize. There we go. All right, it is quite fickle when it's grabbing my voice. Clogged gutter. Sorry, I do have a bit of a lisp. Apologies, folks. A little bit of an accent there. However, it does hear my voice eventually, and that's more a byproduct of the of my phone, not the app itself. But as you can see, we can either dictate or type. We can narrow down our results quite quickly. And again, the intention with search now is that as opposed to having to tap through several layers, from here we can immediately choose the choice and action. So for example, if I wanted to go in and take a photograph of the item, right, I can immediately go and press the camera button. It's going to ask to access my camera for the first time. And of course, we can transition into the desired orientation. I'm turning my device sideways. It doesn't do it on the emulator because we want that landscape style photo, but it does really help enhance the look and format of the report. So you can see in this case that it's brought me into the item itself. And Alan was talking about presets earlier. So one of the really cool advantages of setting up your database is you can predetermine what you'd like for each of your recommendations. So in this case, for a fairly standard recommendation like clogged gutters, you can have all the core values filled out. So all you have to do is essentially take the photos that you want, and then they're going to have the rest of the recommendation filled out. Now from here, I can put on any finishing touches, like add a note if I wanted to. I'm probably not going to try to dictate again. It doesn't like me as too much tonight. Or I could type, and I can also revise any of the values that I have here. Now, we've also significantly improved how you can make your recommendations. In this case, it's already been pre-filled, so I'll show you another one in a moment where you can go through and select the different values, but you have all the different core values that you would set up in your database. And again, this is reflective of the changes you made online through your Horizon account. Now, here you can see at the bottom of the item, we do have a number keeping track of how many photos are associated with the item. And if we want to take multiple photos, we can continue that trend by just simply pressing the button as many times as we need. Now, we also have introduced the ability to import photos that you've already taken, and you can use them throughout the report, not just in this item, but anywhere else as well. So in this case, the second button is the gallery button, and this is going to allow you to then choose photos from your gallery. So in this case, you can see the two that I had just taken, as well as some example photos that I had saved to my gallery beforehand. And all I have to do is tap on the photo that I'd like, and it gets amended to the item just like that. Now, in addition to that, we have the ability to edit our photos. So I have photo edit prompt turned off, but in this case, if I still wanted to edit any of the photos that I associated with the item, I can just press this little icon here. It's the third one in the row. And this allows us to then have access to the photos that we've added to the item. And from here, we can click on the photo that we want. Actually, let me go back and select the third one. And you can see that we then have access to those photo editing capabilities. Now, Alan mentioned the primary option is going to be to add in different shapes. So you can see here we can have square, circle, square, or arrow. Arrow has been a big request from a lot of people, so we've added that in. And we've tried to make it really easy for you to add in your arrow. So first, you can tap and drag the arrow around to reposition it at your discretion. And you can also tap on the two ends to adjust the positioning at the tip or tail. You can also use that to adjust the actual arrow length itself. So if you wanted to shorten it up, and then of course you can position it as you may need. In addition to that, you have the ability to change the thickness, the color, and transparency of your editing, of your shapes. So at the bottom, we've got those three different options here. First of which is your thickness. And you can simply slide to adjust the thickness of the arrowhead. And again, you can drag it around as you may need in between. We then have the ability to change color. Now, at present, you have the ability to set the color each time, but it's always going to default to red at present. But that's something we are looking at as perhaps a future change. And then, of course, we have the ability to set the transparency, depending upon the situation, if we wanted to have it not as visible on the photo itself. Although I tend to find most people are going to leave the transparency at full transparency. Although I'm happy with the edit that I did, we do have a reset button at the top as well as an undo. So if you're making sequential edits, you're adding different shapes, perhaps a caption, you can go back step by step. It just doesn't completely clear the photo. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when you do tap save, you are saving onto the original photo, the edits that you're making. So if, for example, you wanted to potentially use this photo elsewhere beforehand, I'll show you, you would ideally want to import the photo a second time and then edit the secondary one, right? So in this case, you can see that I've now successfully got the photo edited there, as well as the other photos that I have in my gallery. So we've tried to make the search function, barring my inability to say clog gutters, as user-friendly as possible to sort of cater to the sort of more experienced inspector within Horizon who likes to use that function. But going a step back here, a couple other things that we've improved are the ability to take the photo for the title page. So beforehand, you would have to take the photo and it would require to be online. So again, now that we've built the app to work offline compatible, you can go in and take the photo and then it's going to save itself and then it will upload once you're back online. So you have that enhanced capability for your title page photo. Now, because I am online, obviously for the demonstration, everything's sequentially uploading seamlessly in the background as we're doing it. But again, know that your data is safe and secure. Alan did touch on that we have increased the photo limit to 400. And you can see here in the menu that it does show you how many photos are present in the report. In my case, 88. Now, as you are hitting certain caps, roughly at the 50 and 75% markers, you will get notifications about hitting your photo limits or coming close to. And once you do hit the 400, At present, it will restrict the ability to take further photos, but up until that point, you can obviously continue taking photos. Now, something that we've improved with templates is you have the ability to stay at your template screen. So in case you want to select multiple templates one after the other, you can simply stay here, choose the first template you want applied, then the second, third, fourth, however many that you would like to add. So beforehand, you would have to transition back and forth between the screen. We've tried to simplify it for those that have multiple templates they'd like to add. And of course, you can still add your templates before you get on site or during the inspection throughout the course of things. Now, because we've improved the importing ability with photos, if you're also offsite and you want to work within the app and import a photo from one location to another, again, that does exist, right? I can go into my structure, perhaps the foundation material. I can choose the import button on any of these items. It allows me to browse through my gallery, choose any of the photos I've taken, have it imported, and then again, if I wanted to, I could go through the editing process or whatever else I needed. And as you saw there, it allowed me to import all the photos that I've taken. But again, the one that I had edited is specific to that item. So this just gives me all the raw photos. So in case I wanted to reuse that, no problem at all. Now you can see here, to Alan's point earlier about having a general sense of orientation, when you are within a system's description, we give you a clear framework of all the important information that you have to fill out. You can see which categories are required. You can see how many items you might have selected within those categories and how many photos you've respectively taken. It gives you a clear understanding of how you're putting things together and what you may have left remaining. Now, to his point about earlier about being photo intensive, the objective obviously during an inspection, outside of doing a quality inspection, is largely to take a lot of photographs, right? In a sense that that's the primary purpose of in the app, right? You want to photograph while you're on site. You want to collect the photographs of the things that you need. So to his point about data collection after the fact, SpeedWrite is really an enhanced tool at this point, because with this, the course that you're taking on site can just be driven toward taking your photos, and then SpeedWrite will take you through sort of that little bit of data entry at the end. Now, everyone inspects differently. They take different photos of different things, which is fine. But ultimately what SpeedWrite allows you to do now is do a full completion check of what you, excuse me, my apologies, of what you've done throughout the course of the inspection. So again, we have determined what is required for us to fill out, what's essential, and throughout the course of the inspection, if we focus on taking photographs, we're able to tidy up the loose ends during SpeedWrite. So for myself, when I'm out, I'll take a couple photos of the roofing material like you see here, and SpeedWrite allows me to see that. Now, if I, for example, forgot to select another material and take photos, right? This is a stopping point for me. I can say, oh, you know what? There's actually some wood shakes, or maybe there's some mod bit, and I forgot to include that. So I can take a step back and I can go get the necessary photos. Or I can say to myself, you know what? I've got all the necessary information here. Let's move along. Now, at this point, because during the course of the inspection, and again, everyone's different, I didn't take a photo of the flashing material, but I still have to put that information in my report. SpeedWrite now says, hey, you didn't fill out the flashing material, so what is it? And I can now address what I'd like. Now, in this case, it was just aluminum. However, in the event that we wanted to select multiple items, we've always had the auto advance function. However, we've now given you the ability to control if you want it permanently on or off. So for a number of standards, you may be selecting multiple items for any given heading, and this allows you to facilitate that much easier than having to, say, toggle back and forth with the current version. And again, I had naturally selected by walking on roof earlier, so it allowed me to see that information. And you can see that I have 24 items remaining. So as a byproduct of going through the inspection, right, we're filling things out naturally, but this allows us to tidy up those loose ends. And perhaps there were no limitations today, right? So we can obviously just bypass that and continue on with these items, right? And here's a perfect example of something where I may want to select more than one value to complete the heading. So SpeedWrite has given you a few more tools to better understand what you've done during the course of the inspection, a little bit more control to ensure that as you're going through, you can sort of determine, if you want it to move along with you or not. And it also, which I really like, it picks up where you left off, right? So in this case, if I exit speed right now, it's going to remember and return back where I left off. So, some people like to do it, as Alan said, at the end of the inspection, all in one go. Others will perhaps do it after they've done different periods of the home or different areas of the home. So you can go through, reinforce what you've done, tidy up the loose ends through speed right, and then get out of it and come back on into it later on and pick up right where you left off. Right. So that's another big benefit of it. I think that if you put a little bit of practice into speed right, you're going to be breezing through it faster than ever before. Now, beside that, we've got our spare button. And Alan was mentioning how you can use that now to take as many spare photos as you want, right, within the 400 limit. And when we were pulling out the data for how many photos are used in a report and things, we saw roughly how many people were storing in the background in Horizon as well. And so, roughly, I would say anywhere from a quarter to a third, even at times, there's extra photos, right, that you take for whatever situation, CYB, limitations, you want to research it later, you got your finger in one photo. So now we've really tried to minimize the process for that. So I've got this open here. I'm going to switch back to the app. But the intention now is at a moment's notice, you just press spare. Of course, we have the habit of turning our devices sideways, but you can take whatever orientation you like. Just find that these are going to fit better in a PDF report. Photo is uploaded, and by the time I get back here and refresh the screen, it's already there. Oops, I'm in 100 Queen Street, and I'm going to test one up here. One sec, let me just open 100 Queen Street. There we go. I can move the cameras right there. So you can see I took one previously, and the other one I just took right there. So beforehand, right, you would have to take your spare photos under private notes, and you'd have all of these different entries with all of the different photos. You'd have to go in, you could edit them out, right? Considerably more tedious. Now the photos are simply uploaded seamlessly to your unused photo gallery. If you don't see that on in your account, make sure that you turn this button on. Sorry, my voice is raspy. One second. So sorry about that, everyone. Make sure you turn it on using the photo gallery option right here. And that's going to enable you to see all of your unused photos at the top of the screen at a given time. And again, if you're offline or you have a spotty connection, right? Spotty connection, it's still going to attempt, and it may take a little bit longer. I don't know how long it took. I think maybe less than a second or so for it to sync. But if you're offline, it's just going to register that you're offline, and you're just going to move along. And then when you get back online, it's going to sync them back up, and they're going to be waiting here. Now, keep in mind that if you are going to be working offline, that it may take a little bit longer to see your data after the fact when you get back online, because it's going to be pushing it bit by bit to ensure the security of it. Now, a couple things that you won't see inside the app. First, we talked about Autosync securing your data, but we've also enhanced our mobile log feature. So we've taken the ability out of the app for you to disable it, and we've made a couple little enhancements to it just for your own security. So, in the event you ever have any issues where your data doesn't somehow sync, obviously reach out to myself, the support team. We're there to try to help you with that stuff. But we think that the new app's going to eliminate a lot of the minor issues we've been having. However, in that once in a blue moon scenario, we have this mobile log button that will actively secure your data in basically a backup format. And you can use these. Ideally, we would help do it, but basically it shows you all the selections you made, the entries you did, any comments you might have written, and this allows you to help recreate a report. So we've tried to do our best in the background to actively secure your data and create some contingencies for those worst case scenarios that we think, again, will just help enhance things behind the scenes. Now, getting back to the mobile app here, we talked about speed, spare, looked at search. I'm still wiping the egg off my face from that. And we talked about systems. Holistically, those are some of the key functions that we've built in to make the experience a lot more user-friendly. Now, overall, when it comes to everything else, we've just tried to streamline it. So you're going to have the same central options, templates, push only, Now, be mindful that push only is largely there as a backup at this point. That's not something you're going to need to use anymore, because full sync and the combination of that with Autosync are going to take care of your data and keeping the app up to date. Your download allows you to see all of the critical report data, right? So if you've never used that before, if you've never used Horizon Mobile, right, this feature, pardon me, selected the preview. We'll look at that in a second. Meant to click download work order. Allows you to see all the pertinent details of your inspection. So in this case, who's going to be in attendance, their names, the fees, if they've paid, they accepted your contract, notes, right? So you can review that at a moment's notice and be prepped and primed for that first impression when your client or the agent arrives on site. Gives you a lot of valuable details. Now, if you are taking full advantage of the system, you'll also have a little spot with your agent information. And if it's ever an existing agent that you've worked with, it also tells you how many times you've worked with them in the past and the most recent contact date. It's a little bit of a rapport building exercise we've built in there. So, some of those features for newer users, people that have never looked at Horizon, we've built those in. Obviously, for our veterans, those are some of the standard features you know and love. With regard to the preview, we've made the preview function a little bit smoother. You're still not able to see photos when you're looking at it through the mobile app yet, but it loads faster. You're able to see everything that you've selected, all your report data. It's a great way to quickly get a better perspective of how the report's coming along and what you may need to tidy up. Alan, anything you'd like to add in about what we've been doing with the mobile app? We'll have it on screen.
Brian, I don't think so. I find myself, when you're talking, I just become part of the audience, and it's a fascinating story. And as you were going through, I was surprised and reminded by how many changes that are made, and a lot of them are sort of visible front-facing, but you've touched on a bunch that are also in the background that people don't see and recognize, but they're going to enjoy the benefits of them. So we haven't talked a lot about the graphic design, and I'm so proud of the way it looks now and the way it feels, and dark mode, light mode, whichever you like. And again, it might be something depending on the lighting and what kind of, outdoors, indoors, dark day, light day, you may change back and forth. But I love the visuals. I find it very easy to read. I find it so well organized and so much better than it was. It is just, it's not new functionally, and those of you who've been using it, and that's a big chunk of the audience, it's fundamentally the same, but it's elegantly different, would be the way I would sum it up.
Excellent. Well, I think at this point we should go into some question and answer. There's a lot of questions. Some want some recaps on how certain things are done. So let's delve into it. Maybe we'll do a back and forth between questions and work our way through that. So folks, if you just bear with me, as for the last little bit, I've focused on the screen and not the questions. I'm going to circle back and we'll get some of these in order. So Kevin, hope you're doing well, my friend. And with regard to templates, yes, as you saw, if you go in, so in my case, my example account here is a little Spartan because I was using a brand new one for this demonstration, has just a couple of templates, but you can select as many templates as you like while you're within it. It applies the first, lets you stay at the same screen, and you continue that method. Now you can also, if you like to apply templates before the inspection, go in and apply them, say you're just arriving on site, get a perspective of the property, maybe it is a post-1980s home, tap, drop it in, you're off to the races. No problem whatsoever. And furthermore, if you do happen to apply templates using the web version, right? Let me get back to that just quickly, right? Perhaps before you get on site, you're actually using it on the web. Again, it will trickle down to the mobile app. So it is respective of what you do in both worlds. If you've been making entries online, you do a full sync, the app's going to have all of that right there in the report already for you. Great question.
Brian, I wanted to mention one other quick thing on templates, and it's a feature that I love, and that is that if you've made some entries in the report and then you decide to make a template entry, and the template might have 25 or 30 items in it. If the template tries to add an item that you've already put into the report manually, the template is smart enough to cover your butt and it won't put it in there twice for you. So it won't duplicate. And some people have templates that have overlapping entries. So if people select two different templates and they both want to talk about the same item, if the item's in there already, it will say, well, we don't need to put that in twice. So a feature I love about templates. Now, you still need to proofread your templates because you put in a lot of entries very quickly. And if you're not paying attention, you can make yourself look foolish. So templates require a good setup and a little bit of proofreading, which is actually part of the game anyway, if you're playing the game right.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Tara, hope you're doing well this evening. And great, brought up a great point. So if you're in a spotty area, maybe you're in a basement, your connection's a little weaker, you do a spare photo, right? Again, it's going to attempt to sync it. Now, if it registers that you're offline, again, it's going to store that photo. And at that point in time, you can sort of just continue to press the button and take the photos. But as soon as it sort of recognizes a connection, again, it will continue to push that in the background. So spotty connection, no connection, you're going to be able to utilize that. It may, again, slow down things just a little bit initially because it's going to attempt to sync. But thereafter, once it realizes you're offline, it's not going to be that sort of continuous hindrance. It just recognizes you're sort of offline at that point. Or if you're perhaps offline throughout the course of the entire inspection. So Alan, with regard to the mobile app and its current beta status, so John would like to know, so in this, is there a way for them to submit feedback? What's the best approach for getting their, getting feedback on how things are developing with the app, if they experience any issues?
I think there's a couple of ways that come to mind, and I'm trying to decide what's the most convenient, and different people may have a different most convenient mode. Reaching out to Brian, Chris, and Rishi on the support team is a really good way to do it. You can use our upvote feature if you're comfortable using that. You can put it in there. You can, some of you work with John or Steve, and even though their responsibilities are a little different, everybody is absolutely hands-on here. So you can reach out to anybody on the team and send the feedback along. We are all pretty focused on this, and the team is still, as I say, we're probably 90% of the way through building out the support materials and videos and so on. So it's very much top of mind. And when you have suggestions, software is never done. This is always evolving. I've already got a list of 3 or 4 things I'd like to do in the next generation. And so we will compile those. We probably won't, unless they're a significant bug, we probably won't change them before we go from beta to final, but we're going to try and do updates more frequently. And so we've got some things in the background already, and encourage you to provide the feedback. And what's really helpful for the support guys is if you can provide as much detail as you can, and sometimes it feels a little bit overstated. We'd rather get too much than too little. Gives us a way better sense of what's going on. And then when you give feedback, we may reach out to you for a little more clarity. So be prepared for that. And yeah, we're all in this together trying to make it better. So appreciate the input.
Thank you, Alan. Fuad, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Hope you're doing well as well. Can you add multiple photos without going through multiple prompts? So you're still going to have to approve the photo, but you can tailor it to be just that. So for example, here, again, I'm at my retaining wall section, and let's just say that I wanted to indicate that I was wood and take a photo, right? So we're going to simplify that into one action. I'm going to tap the camera. I have a habit of always turning it sideways and saying that. I know I sound like a broken record, but turn the device sideways, take the photo you want, choice to retake or approve, right? So, I mean, ultimately, if you're trying to streamline it as much as possible, you know that sort of approve is always going to be on the right-hand side. So I sort of naturally almost have my finger hovering over there, and then I can just seamlessly go in. And I mean, if I take a portrait, it's a little bit quicker, but you're able to ideally cut that down considerably because the photo edit prompt won't come up if you don't choose to edit your photos right after. But I find that it is a little bit quicker than the current version. However, you still have to go through that approval screen to get the photo you want. But we're always open to feedback and suggestions. Maybe that could be an update for a future version. William, hope you're doing well. Are you going to be able to pull the photos back of the computer to edit? So great question. the photos that you do take within the mobile app are going to be available online to continue editing. But you're right, we don't necessarily have all those editing capabilities yet. I know we've got a lot of development coming in the pipeline, so I'm going to defer to you, Alan, on what potential capabilities are forthcoming from the web version.
Well, yeah, that's on my list. And when we got this photo editing tool built, my first question was, can we have exactly that tool on the web? And the answer is always yes. The question is when. So to Brian's point, we have a number of irons in the fire, a lot of things we're thinking about. And so that is a great piece. There are so many things. And the multiple photos question is another one I've already got on my list. So the more questions we get and the more input and the more feedback, the more it focuses us and the more it gives us direction. And so I had a question come in yesterday. It was a question I'd never heard before. And I thought, well, wait a minute, if this is the first time we're hearing this question, how broad an issue is it? And so the more we hear from you, and that's where the upvote feature is really helpful, because you guys can go in and support each other, you people, not you guys, sorry, ladies. And it gives us a sense of what the community is looking for more broadly. And so we're looking for that input. We want to do the best job for the most people in the least time. And so that is very helpful to us. So go ahead and provide that and go in and reinforce what others have asked for if it's important to you. There are some things that are outliers, and those are probably going to be more back burner issues. We want to make sure we do the most good for the most people.
Thank you, Alan. Tara would like to know if the photo that you take for the title page is now stored in the gallery. It is. So you have that available for any secondary purposes you may need. Just like any other photo will be there for you, but again, it will upload to the title page for that purpose, but it is there for you as well. Okay. James would like to know, do we have the ability at this point to add video? No, we don't. Not yet, at least presently. I'm not sure what the future will hold, but Alan, what's the prospect of video in the future?
I wrestle with video because there's a price to be paid for video. I still struggle with the client utility of video. Where does the client experience get dramatically better with video? So it is definitely on the list. It's not at the top and it's not at the bottom right now. It is an interesting concept, and there are maybe some evolutionary things around video that might change our mind as we move forward too. So a couple of things, again, percolating in the background on that, but no commitment as of tonight on timeline or immediacy.
Awesome. Thank you. John would like to know if we edit a photo on the job, can it further be edited later? You got it. So if you want to continue editing photos after you get off the job site within the device you're using, no problem at all, right? So in this case, I can go after the fact to the structure spot we just were, back to the description. I was playing around with foundation material here. I got poured concrete. I've got that one photo. So if I wanted to go in and edit it after the fact, I just go into the note screen. You can see I've got it's again the third option here. It's the basically looks like a photo with a pencil in front of it. That's going to show you the photos that you've taken. If you had edited it already, you would see the edits and you can continue amending, or you can go in and start your edits from here. And this sort of dovetails in with another question that was asked about, can we preset the arrowhead to be a specific shape and size? At present, no. But again, great feedback and something for us definitely to consider. And you can see that in this photo, this was the one I originally edited. So it's already got that yellow arrow at the bottom corner there. One thing that you can't do, and I mentioned that before, is you can't undo the original edit you did. So want to make sure that you're happy with things before you tap save. Although remember, the original photo is still in your gallery in case you wanted to do it again. You made a mistake, right? I can go back. I can go to my photos. I can find the photo. So you can see I've got the two versions there now. I've got the one that's edited. It's the 6th photo in the gallery, and the one that's not is the 9th. Tap that. We've got it in there now. If I wanted to, well, there we go. Clean photo. So you have that capabilities of editing one photo, continuing the edits after the fact. Make a mistake, you want to start over, you can just import the photo again, right? And then later on, you can go and delete the one photo you didn't want from the web version. but very simple and seamless to go in, be able to manipulate your photos, and then continue doing it wherever you'd like. I'm a big fan of sort of editing after the fact. That's why I have the photo edited off, but again, matter of preference. So you can pick and choose what you'd like, but that's sort of how I do it as well, John. And Tara, pardon me, sir.
Sorry, Brian. I'm going to throw my oar in the water on that really quickly and say, I think a lot of inspectors spend way too much, a disproportionate amount of report writing time editing photos. I think editing photos, I talked about using 2 side-by-side, macro, micro. I think you want to use editing tools sparingly, as good as they are now. That's terrific. But I want you focusing on what matters and communicating really well to the client. And sometimes they make a big difference, but a lot of edits that I see, I go, gosh, that was a long way to go for a pretty short return. So use some common sense around editing and don't overdo it.
Thank you. Daniel wants to know, will all the customization changes automatically transfer over? Well, you have all of your ancillaries. Yes, so everything does transfer over. The one thing, and we've got a couple questions about that, my friends, is that keep in mind that this is a new app. So we didn't want to simply push this update and completely overhaul how you're potentially doing things, right? There's a little bit of a learning curve here, quite minimal, and we think for the better. But if you're used to how Horizon Mobile presently works and you got an inspection tomorrow, you may not be comfortable just adapting to Horizon Mobile 3 right then and there. So if we pushed it over as just sort of a new update to the current version, we didn't want to force people's hand in that regard. So it is a separate app that you can download. Eventually, it'll be the only app that we offer in terms of Horizon Mobile. But what you want to do, please and thank you, is you want to go to your app store. So I'm using my Apple phone, but if you're an Android user, just go to the Play Store and you're going to search Horizon Mobile 3 like you see on screen, okay? That's what you need to search. You're going to be able to download it. You can use it in parallel to the current version. So you can see, like on my device, for example, I actually have it right in here. Good old Horizon Mobile too, as we will. So again, you can use them in unison and in parallel with each other until you get really comfortable. But search Horizon Mobile 3, download, install it, and when you're ready, you can just uninstall Horizon Mobile 2 and just focus on the new app. We've also obviously updated the icon to make it a little bit more distinguished from the previous version. And of course, once you do have this version, any updates that we make, we're going to be planning lots of them, you'll get those automatically as the app updates itself. Mario, yes, the templates you have on Horizon Mobile presently will be available in Horizon Mobile 3. Same thing, you'll have all of them. So as soon as you sign in, that full sync feature that Alan was talking about earlier, again, it's going to update your app, grab all your data from the web version, push it down into the app, and that's going to show your database, your settings, everything that you've done online is then in the app for you. Kelly, yes. So we can reuse photos anywhere. It's a great feature and function, and it's definitely going to enhance how things go. Now, Alan, people would like to know, when are you pushing the photo limit to 600?
When it makes sense.
A lot of people would like it now. So they appreciate the increase, but everyone would like a little bit more, they say.
One of these days we'll do a poll and we'll find out how many people are putting 600 photos in reports. Unless you're doing a multi-family residence, 600 photos it is a lot. And do you have any clients who are actually going to look at 600 photos? So I've got a lot. I'd love to have a discussion over a beer about that one time, because I have a feeling there's a piece of the puzzle I'm missing here. So yeah, 600 is shooting for the stars. But we will see. We'll measure the usage as we go and see what happens. There are the technological challenges, and Brian's talked a lot about how hard we've worked to smooth out the sync process and to try and engage, because we touched on spotty internet connections. And the more data you're trying to move, and the weaker the internet connection, and the longer the sync has to maintain itself, the more breakage we get and the more trouble. So, and this is not a function of, this is just a function of moving data across the internet. I can't email files that are bigger than a certain size. So there are limits to what we try to do. And we've tried to be as practical as we can, keeping it as reliable as we can, because that's as important to us as a lot of size, is making it as bulletproof as we can. And it's always a balance to try and pack as much stuff in and still have it work seamlessly. So yeah, I hear you. I gain no commitment, but the more people who mention that it is important to them, the more it draws our attention to the issue.
Thank you. Amicable as ever. With regard to, my apologies, with regard to the title page photo, Kelly would like to know, can you make a required item? So you can't in the sense with Horizon yet. I get what you're talking about. You don't want to miss it, right? So it's a part of your operating procedure. You went back to your philosophy earlier at the start about, your procedure for report writing. So great question and great idea, Kelly. I think totally one of those reminders like, hey, you haven't taken the title page photo. Now, what you could do, right? We don't have it where it pops up to say that. You could set up, and this is something that you could do on the web version, right? We have a private notes category. And within it, there's a button called title page photo. Now, what some people do is they have this category as a required item, and that means it's going to come up first in SpeedWrite. And although you can't take the photo right there, it's like a reminder, right? Oh, did I take the photo for the title page or not? Yeah, I already got that in the bag. But if you said no, right, you would just go to the menu and you would go to the menu and you would take the photo, right? So you'd get out of SpeedWrite for a moment, but at least you'd have that peace of mind. And remember that no one sees required items you don't fill out. They don't show up on a report. So right now, there's not an alert, not a pop-up that come up. Love the idea. We'll definitely add it to our idea form. But one potential workaround would be to set that category, private notes, as a required item. It will come up during SpeedWrite, a reminder. You can validate to yourself, yeah, I did it, or no, I didn't. And that could be one way to help better remind yourself. And to Alan's point, what our inspectors do is the first thing they do on site, just take a photo of the title for the title page. But that's a way to double check yourself there, Kelly, potentially. William, like, will this work on your iPad mini? Yes, it certainly will. So whatever device you'd like to use, Apple or Android, we do recommend that the devices within the last few years. So, if you're using like an iPhone 5, using like a BlackBerry that perhaps you got from maybe your grandmother, definitely not going to work with Horizon Mobile 3, but any of the latest devices will certainly work. Now, with regard to templates, the beauty of a template is that it applies all the information you've predetermined for it, but it's a double-edged sword. So if you've already applied it to report, there's no quick undo, my friends. If you had applied a template accidentally, you have to go through and manually deselect the items in the report. Ideally, if that was something where you've got a lot of information in the report, I'd probably do it back when I get on the web, but you could still go through, obviously, and once you have the item that you've selected, trash can, and to delete. It'd be a bit cumbersome depending upon how many items you added, but it'll probably be a learning curve, an exercise that you do once and you probably never hopefully do again. But unfortunately, there's no quick undo at present. Kevin, you're having an issue with the camera button, my friend. I believe that you have not allowed the permissions. So I won't be able to fully troubleshoot this right now with you, but I'll definitely take this offline. However, when you're initially going to take a photo, the app does ask for permissions to use and take photos as well as access your gallery. You might not have allowed the necessary permissions. It's an easy accident. If you're not using an Apple device like I am, again, I can follow up in a separate session online. But if you go into your settings here and you find the app, it'll be called Horizon Mobile 3. What you'll want to do, my friend, is you'll want to make sure that these are all turned on. So you go to Photos, right? I have it all Photos. And then you want to make sure that the camera is also turned on here, okay? Again, if you're using an Android device, maybe a little bit different, but app permissions, make sure you've got it allowed to take photos and use your camera. That should resolve the issue. And if it doesn't, definitely let me know. Sean, do you need to be online to use the app? Alan, do you need to be online to use the app these days?
Absolutely not.
That's the beauty of it. Work online, offline, whatever you'd like. Now, there was another question with regard to dovetail into that. And we have removed the Autosync function from the menu, right? The reason for that is it's a security measure. We want to sync your data as you perform the inspection, ensuring that you don't lose any of it. If you're offline, we understand that. what's going to happen is you'll get initial notice, but then after that, the system simply doesn't prompt you. Okay, so you're not going to be constantly burdened with, hey, you're offline. We understand you're offline. When you get back online, the data is going to start working in the background or go into a full sync to start pushing it yourself. But once you're offline, you're offline. You're not going to be impeded by the app whatsoever. Ross, fantastic question. Alan, using Horizon Mobile 2, Horizon Mobile 3, right? You're getting accustomed to things. Okay, is the data seamlessly merged between the two, just like it is with Horizon on the web?
You bet. Absolutely.
Awesome. So Ross, you can work Horizon Mobile 2, jump over to Horizon Mobile 3, play with it. Remember that you're going to have to do a full sync on the device you're using and then switch over and do another full sync if you want both devices to have the exact same data, right? Because you're pushing from the one, then you got to update the other with the same data, but you can seamlessly do that if you'd like. So Peter, the maximum number of photos altogether in a report is 400, regardless if they're in the report or used as spare. It's a sort of a cumulative total. So as you're taking photos, regardless if it's spare or inside an item, after it's uploaded, and my apology, I didn't show the total beforehand, so it's sort of anticlimactic, but now it's at 94. So you can see at the top, it's got one extra number to the digit. But again, as Alan said, we are very receptive to our community's feedback, and numbers could be growing. Emily, I hope you're doing well this evening. Great to see you here. So Scott, with regard to Horizon Mobile 2 and the caching function, you're absolutely right that it does create quite a large cache over time, especially if you're doing multiple inspections throughout the week, as many of you are. So in this particular case, it does clear the cache a lot more efficiently here. If you find that there's ever a caching issue, let us know, but you're absolutely right. With this version, we've tried to eliminate some of those, some of the issues that we had lingering with Horizon Mobile 2. So you shouldn't have that much of a caching issue. If you do, please let us know, but you're right, that has been largely eliminated. Ian, hope you're doing well with the course. Any words of advice for someone taking the course, Alan?
The reward is worth the effort. There is a lot to the program, all 10 courses. It is not lightweight and quick. It is pretty serious and pretty significant, but so is home inspection. So yeah, stay the course, get through it. We've got thousands of people who have done it successfully. It's absolutely doable. Just, pay attention and try and stay focused. Bite-size sessions. A lot of people try to do too much at one time, I find. An hour is good for a lot of people. Working an hour and a half is a lot, and 2 hours is generally too much for anybody. So small bites, take advantage of the online tools, change it up with the videos, the drag and drops, things like that, and try and keep yourself energized.
Excellent. Hey, Rico, hope you're doing well tonight. Great to see you here. Sure, let me show you how that editing can be done again. So again, it doesn't matter what item you're going to select, the same editing capabilities. Let's just go ahead and make a recommendation. I'm going to go in, let's just go to exterior recommendations. Let's go to downspouts. All right, and in this particular case, I've actually got a couple photos of discharge. So let's go into there. Okay, so here you can see that I've got my recommendation. Again, we're going to focus on photo editing. But what you're going to do, my friend, in this case, right, and I'll turn photo edit prompt on after this, and I'll show you what it's like with photo edit prompt turned on. But if you don't have it turned on, you're going to press that third button. It's the picture with the pencil in front of it. And again, it's the same icons everywhere in the program. So once you learn the four, you pretty much will memorize it across the board in seconds. I got these two photos here, looking pretty good if I do say so myself. And I'm going to tap the first one. All right, so we want to point out where the downspouts discharging a little too close. I would probably use a circle in this case, but let's go ahead and add an arrow. So I'm going to tap the shapes icon, which is again that middle one. We put it front and center for you. We got the three standard shapes. Now there's also, if you actually go to the side of it, so if you go to the right-hand side, there's a freeform shape option as well. So or left-hand side, I'm challenged left and right. But you can also do freeform drawing. Now tap on the arrow and it's going to add it to the sort of middle of your photo, okay? So what I like to do first is I like to sort of drag it into the general orientation. And then you have the ability to basically position the back and front, so the sort of the the tip and tail by just tapping on either end, and you sort of drag it to where you'd like. And of course, you can play around with that and get it into the perfect spot. Maybe I want to rotate it over here like that. This is why I like to do my edits not with a client there. All right, but I've got my edit done. So from here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to then decide if I want to change the thickness. So that first option is thickness, and you can just basically slide it to adjust the arrowhead. And then of course you want to play with it a bit more, you can. Just going to move it around. There we go. The next option is color. Maybe red's a bit alarmist for this situation. Green's going to blend in a bit too much, so you know what? Yellow's good. And then of course transparency. I haven't done too much with this. I think if maybe again they're contrast, really similar colors or something, you may want to adjust it, but I tend to leave it as it is. Of course, at the top we've got our reset in case we're doing multiple edits. So if I wanted to add more than one arrow, I could go back here, right? Go back, add another arrow. It's retained the color. It just doesn't save that for the next time you go and edit a new item. But when you're making your edits here, I can go back, play around with it. Let's adjust the thickness a bit. There we go. All right, I think we're good. Save. So, pardon me, sir.
So, and Brian was making a point and demonstrating all kinds of features with the editing, but I could have completed all my speed write items while Brian was doing that edit on one photo. So I do want you to, by all means, play with it, get good with it, get crisp with it, but don't agonize over it. Don't spend too much time. Don't do too much. Clients are going to generally understand the issue. It becomes a bit addictive like a video game, and I just don't want you to go too far down that rabbit hole, because then your report writing times, which should never be more than 60 minutes in my world, get up to be 2 and 3 hours pretty quickly, and photo editing can eat up your time. So super powerful tool, just use it with discretion.
Completely agree. Although to Alan's point about it being similar to a video game, the more you practice, you will get a bit more efficient. As the app is newer, and I've been testing all the features, still taking a little bit of time to get used to the nuances of adding in the arrows. It's a brand new feature for us, but if you practice a bit, you're going to chip away at that time. But yeah, be selective. Steve, 400 right now. Web, mobile, everything. You got 400 photos. So you and your fellow inspectors will be able to take care of that. No problem whatsoever. And again, for the people that, although we're obviously showcasing Horizon Mobile this evening, if you prefer to write your reports on the web version, many do, we also, again, increase it to 400 photos. Upload them, no problem whatsoever. Tony, hope you're doing well. Tony would like to know, what does DESC, LAM, and REC stand for, Alan?
Whatever you want them to stand for. So those titles are completely flexible and under your control, and the order that they're in this case, description, recommendations, and limitations. So you could call recommendations observations, you could call limitations inspection methods, you could call descriptions just features. You can make those whatever you want, put them in whatever order you want. The short forms here, I think you can go up to 4 letters for each one. We've got 4 for description and 3 for description and limitation. So those are kind of out of the box Horizon names, but you have absolute flexibility over that.
Here's another example. Oops, there we go. So another example of what those options are there for. And this goes to utilizing search. So there's on screen, to Alan's pointer, the description, limitations, and recommendations, but you can actually use those 3 headings as refinement tools at search. So if you are a fan of search, and perhaps you're not quite certain of the exact wording of an issue, but you know the component that it's related to, you can refine down your search results by adding in one of those 3 headings. So if I was just looking for a furnace recommendation, pretty broad stroke, furnace and rec, but it allows me to isolate any potential conditions related to, say, a furnace, right? It strips away any of the description or limitation results. So it allows you to pare things down a little bit more efficiently. Or, downspout, where again, you're going to have a multitude of results, many of which are recommendations, but perhaps you're looking to describe something in the description. You could narrow things down by adding in those relevant descriptors. So it's just another way for you to be more efficient with search as well, right? So it sort of dovetails into, once you learn the program a bit more and how things are worded, you can really pick up your efficiency by jumping into search. To Alan's point earlier, it eliminates that back and forth between things, although we have really simplified that with the systems button. That does enhance how you're able to get a report done fast and efficiently. So with regard to future development, is anything with regard to text messaging perhaps forthcoming, Alan? A lot of questions about text messaging capabilities.
It has been on my agenda for a while. And so the short answer is yes, it's on the agenda. I can't give you a date, but yeah, I'm with you on texting for sure.
And would it be something like here, ideally, and the more info option?
That would be a very logical spot for texting, wouldn't it, Brian? Absolutely.
Awesome. So to a number of people curious about that, we are in constant development. This is just the first foray into our new product. And of course, we're going to continue to listen to your feedback and make a lot of improvements. So William, you can do templates before, after, and before, during, or after. Whenever you like to apply your templates, it's responsive and respective of that. Kevin, for sure, my friend. So with regard to Autosync, Autosync is going to actively sync your data as you perform the inspection. Every 5 entries are photos, regardless if it's one or the other. A combination of the two is fine as well. It's going to push your data seamlessly in the background. And it's going to build the report like we'd be looking at here. Now, in this particular case, it does require to be online, right? But it's going to push that data as you work online throughout the course of your inspection. Or if you're offline, Autosync will recognize that. I'm not going to pester you throughout the course of the inspection saying, hey, like now, if you have it, it will say, hey, you're offline. But now it recognizes that. But when you get back online, it just starts to push that data flow in the background. So we've really tried to take that burden off of your shoulders. And for the most part, it's just done. All you have to do is push full sync, which initially will download your report that you're writing. And at the end, you can do another full sync. And the only time you really need to do that is if, again, you saw that little icon. So if we come back here, you see that red icon that tells you that there's still data within the report. I mean, if you're done writing the report, menu, full sync, or if you're still working on the report, then as you continue filling out the report, it's just going to push the data again in the background. So basically you start with a full sync, you work through the report, data is being seamlessly pushed. And if you happen to notice at the end, or just as a formality, I just go and do another full sync. And that's going to, after the report's been published, take it off my app, and then I'm sort of prepped and primed for the next one. And that's really how the Autosync function will work. Manzer, you don't have to uninstall the old system. You can still use Horizon Mobile 2, no problem whatsoever. Although I think you'd agree, Alan, that if you invest maybe 15 minutes, you're probably going to master the new version quite quickly, all the features and enhancements. And again, we've simplified things. We've made it more intuitive. So I would say that the conversion should hopefully be quick and easy. And we are going to be having a series of video tutorials available no later than this Friday, but should be probably up by tomorrow. That's going to be included in our newsletter.
Ryan, I couldn't agree more. And what I'd love for you folks to do is, one of the great ways to get comfortable with it is take a recent report and just look at the PDF of the report and recreate it using Horizon Mobile 3. So you can go in and, to Brian's earlier point, I don't think you want to go out in the field with a client and not having looked at it before, try and use it kind of on the fly in front of an audience. So give yourself a fighting chance, give yourself a practice inspection or two, and I think you will pick it up, especially if you've been using Horizon Mobile. It's going to be just a small evolution. And what you're going to find is you're doing so much less than you were doing before, things fall to hand much more easily. If you're new to Horizon Mobile, give it a little more time. And the videos, one of the reasons I wanted Brian to do part of the presentation tonight is to give you some insight into the quality of what Brian's work is and what the support team does. these folks, A, know the product, B, they understand the rationale and the philosophy behind it. They've had the questions, they've got the subtleties, they've got the nuance, and they can help you out. Brian's onboarding sessions that run several times a week. If you're an experienced Horizon user, but you haven't used Horizon Mobile, talk to Brian about sitting in on an onboarding session for Horizon Mobile. We're all going to be working on 3 now. It's going to be the way of the future. And it would be such a waste for you not to take advantage of this tool. And I won't tell you how big the investment is, but believe me, it has been substantial. I really want it to make your lives better. And I am so proud of what the team has done and what Brian, Chris, and Rishi, the support guys, do to make your guys' lives better. And so please leverage that, take advantage of it, and give this a shot, but not in front of a client without knowing what you're doing.
Thank you, Alan.
Grant, finished for the moment.
Hey, Brad. Oh, unfortunately, you just left. I was about to show you. So Brad had a great question. It's unfortunate he just left because I was about to answer it for him. I'll answer it for everyone else. So question was, I'm not seeing my spare photos on the web version. All right. So if you don't happen to see them, my friends, it's this option you have to turn on called Photo Gallery. Okay. Now, once you turn it on at report writing for one inspection, it's going to stay on indefinitely. Okay. So turn it on. I typically have it set to the default 4 photos. You get to see them a bit bigger, right? Obviously fewer on screen. I only got 2, so it doesn't matter that much, but you get a better perspective of what they are. I'm sorry, I uploaded one as we were talking, so 3, but you can see them there. So that's the one missing key. If you are back online, you don't see them, please make sure to turn Photo Gallery on. It's one of the fastest ways to build your report on the web version if you happen to do that, right? Because you just click on the photos you want, you add them to the item. You want to edit, you can. You don't, you're done. Not simple. So there's a lot of cool things available there. But that hopefully, in case anyone else doesn't see them, answers that question as well. Mel would like to know, so we have, and Alan, I would say, with regard to title page photo, we've removed the ability to import a photo. Now you basically have the ability just to take it directly, although it is stored on your phone in case you want to repurpose it. That sort of a conscious decision just to streamline the process, or is that going to be perhaps re-added?
It's an interesting question. Again, it was a streamlining decision that was made because for the most part, and again, my preferred process, and I didn't go into a lot of detail, but I'm a bit of a fanatic about arriving at the inspection early and getting that title page photo out of the way. And we sometimes take 2 or 3 to get the right angle and so on, but doing that before the client gets there, getting that out of the way, kind of checking that box and moving on, it to me is more work to take a title page photo that sits on your gallery. You have to go and retrieve it. So streamlining is the short answer. If it turns out to be problematic for people, we can revisit it. But I am that kind of logical linear thinker that wants to do the minimum number of steps to get from A to Z or A to Z. So I really want it to be as simple as I can. That's why I say don't do too much of this or too much of that, because it's easy to get bogged down. So I would love for you to have that. We worked hard to make that tool so simple to get the title page photo taken quickly and put in the report where it belongs quickly without having to do any more detailed work around the edges. So again, we're going to rely on you folks to tell us what works and what doesn't, but that was the thinking, that was the effort. And that thinking is kind of throughout all of Horizon Mobile. We have removed some steps, thinking it's better for you. If it's a stone in your shoe, let us know.
Thank you, Alan. And with regard to future development, is the app moving? Because it seems as you're making the app more user-friendly, more intuitive, seems like all the dots are aligning toward being able to perhaps maybe publish the report, maybe schedule. Again, threads of future development. I know we're focused on what we've got today, but people are curious. Is that sort of the direction that Horizon Mobile is facing?
For sure. that's where the world is going. The world has moved to mobile in a big way, and so that is our development path.
Awesome. And with regard to applying or removing items from a template you accidentally touched, Tom, unfortunately, that is something you're going to have to do manually. So at this point, there's no undo or mass undo for a template. So you just have to undo those options, but definitely something for us to consider in a future update. Okay, here. Hi, Vincenzo. I hope you're doing well tonight. Photos, when we take photos, presently they go into the roof section of spare photos and not unused photo gallery. Can we still default photos? So Vincenzo, if you're more comfortable with using the roofing description method, you're more than welcome to continue to do that. That's certainly still going to be available for you and everyone else. And that's, again, putting them in your private notes section. So within Horizon Mobile 2, because we don't have the ability to upload photos directly to the unused photo gallery, this spot is basically a hidden storage spot where you could store photos and comments like exampled here. As you're getting accustomed to the new version, you can still do that if you're more comfortable, but I guarantee you, right out the gate, by using the spare button on the app, you'll immediately save more than half of the time it takes to take every spare photo. I would say you'll almost triple your efficiency, because in the current version, which I do have, you would either have to search or manually go to your roofing description, or what I call general info in this account, go to private notes, tap, tap, tap. I didn't turn it sideways. Shame on me. It's a spare photo. Save. And then once we sync, it's going to upload, right? However, in this instance, done. So I think if you get a bit more acclimated to the new version, Vincenzo, you're going to come to like it a lot more, and it's going to save you a bunch of time on site with the mobile app. Now, this is not going to use more battery. Again, the current Horizon Mobile does have an Autosync feature. It's just not as robust as the new one that we've implemented. It also requires a higher number of entries to trigger. So in this case, it's not going to eat up more battery life. You're just going to have better security of your data. All right, let's see here, more questions. So Johnny would like to know, will the photos show in the order taken? They do, don't they, Alan?
They do.
You got it. So they take the order that you take the photos or the order in which they appear within the report, or that you upload them and put them in sequence. All right. Let me see if there's a couple more questions. We're getting to the 45-minute mark, which is, I do love all the engagement, folks. And I think because we've got so many questions, what we're going to do is we're going to sit down as a team afterward, look at all the questions we haven't addressed, and come up with, I think, some other Q&As, as well as some just more responses for some of these questions. So let's see here.
If any of you have done what Brian is doing right now, it is really hard to be talking to an audience, looking at questions, filtering the ones that have already been asked, the ones that should be handled offline, and so on. So he's got about 11 things going through his brain at the same time while he's doing all of this stuff. I always find it remarkable that he can manage this. And to your point, Brian, it is, yeah, we've been 1 hour and 45 minutes. We probably exhausted a good percentage of the audience, although I can't believe how many folks are still here. And we will, I agree with Brian completely. When you folks take the time to attend and join us and stay with us, we absolutely owe you an answer to your question. So if we don't get it done on screen tonight, we will get it out to you one way or another over the next couple of days. There's a lot of work to be done. We're recording. Brian, did we even mention for the new folks that this presentation is recorded and will be made available?
Good point. We do always have these community events on our YouTube channel, so they will be listed there, as well as the 25 tutorials that come alongside the launch of Horizon Mobile 3. So you'll be able to watch this in replay. You'll be able to watch some direct tutorials as well. And then, of course, we'll definitely make sure that we get all these questions responded to and a healthy Q&A above and beyond what we're doing tonight. Having said all that, I do have a couple questions I think we could cap off with. First of which is, can multiple inspectors write the same report now using the app?
For sure.
Certainly. All you do is log in, same account. You can both simultaneously write the report uninterrupted, no issues. And last question we have is, okay, you'd like to know, I see, pardon me, how can we rotate a photo within the app? Sure. So let's go ahead and take another photo. So let's go into my recommendations. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a photo here. Let me just take it. Now, I did also see in the comments that some people were having issues with photos rotating, not on this app, but just on the current one. If you're, and they're not appearing in the right orientation. If you're happening to use an Apple device like I am, let me just take a step back. You want to ensure that your camera button is on the right-hand side. If it's on the left-hand side, this is actually set internally and inside of iPhones. This is interpreted basically as it would be upside down how it reads it. So I know that's a little odd, but if you turn your device and have the camera button on the right-hand side, iPhones interpret that as up and the other way as down when it's sort of transcribing that photo to other programs. So that could be something that could help out with any photos that are not in the proper orientation. But to the point of, let's change the orientation ourselves. We've got the photo stored. I'll go into the edit option. I'll select the photo. And then what we have the ability to do here is it's the fourth option in. You can see here we've got crop, rotate, and flip. So you can see here that the middle option allows us to do the rotation seamlessly.
So you can't tell what Brian's doing, but every time he taps that center circle, that's making the photo rotate 90 degrees.
Yep. Or I can flip it using the third option.
Yeah, kind of like the mirror image thing.
And we can crop as well as we need. And you can see that down below, it gives us different cropping options like a circle, ellipse, 3-in-1, square. Oh, didn't like that. Reset it, and you can continue adjusting. So you can very easily crop your photos. Within that, rotate, do whatever you'd like within the options there. All right. I think, you know what? We've hit the 50-minute mark. I think with regard to all the questions, Alan, why don't we cap off for this evening, and we will look at all the questions that we weren't able to address, and we will get back in touch with everyone in our newsletter. We can create a separate little section with all the answers for them. I think we've got about 30 or so extra questions we haven't been able to address, and just in the interest of everyone's time, we want to make sure that not eating up too much of it. Maybe any closing thoughts there, sir, on this evening?
Well, yeah, my summary is, first of all, thank you folks for being here, for taking the time, staying with us, and for providing your input and questions, which are super valuable and very much appreciated. And I also wanted to say thank you to Brian and the whole Horizon team. This has been, as you can imagine, what it looks like on the front end represents a whole lot more work on the back end. And folks have been very patient with me. I am a bit meticulous, I'm a bit particular, and a bit fussy. So super proud of the team. I really think this is going to make your inspection work faster. And if we can save you, Brian is pretty dramatic about the percentage reduction in inspection time. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be. I'm going to let you figure it out for yourself. But I rather suspect if you're doing a couple hundred inspections a year and you save 15 minutes an inspection, that's like 2 full working weeks over the course of the year. So we're trying to get you some time back that you can spend going fishing, being with family, marketing your business, doing more inspections, whatever you like. And I think we've taken a huge step today in getting your life a little simpler and a little faster. So again, appreciate it. This is not the end of the journey. It's another step, and we look forward to continuing it together.
Thank you. The recording will be included on our newsletter this coming Friday. So everyone, we will be sending out a newsletter this Friday with a replay to the community event, as well as a link to the playlist on our YouTube channel, which has 25 videos dedicated to each feature and function of the new app. So you're able to watch them in bite-sized portions at your discretion. As Alan said, thanks so much for attending. Have a great evening, everyone. And we'll sure to, oh, actually, Alan, what's next?
December 8th is next. And that is going to be our last session. So on Wednesday, I think December 8th is right. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to write a report. And we're going to use Verizon Mobile 3. And we'll build it from scratch and see how it goes. And you'll be subjected a little bit to my preferences and my philosophy, which may or may not fit, but that's all right. It'll be one person's view of how it ought to be done. So that should be an entertaining evening. So Wednesday, December 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Sign up will be included in the newsletter, as always. We'll make sure you're well aware of that, folks. We look forward to seeing you there. And if you think of anything in the interim, reach out to us at Help and Support. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Good night, folks. Appreciate it.